Sheila Birling. Key quotes and analysis from An Inspector Calls. An Inspector Calls. Written by J.B. Priestley. Sheila is one of the most important characters in the play, not because she causes the most harm, but because she changes the most. At the beginning of the play, Sheila is immature, sheltered, and protected by her wealthy family. But by the end of the play, she becomes one of the most morally aware characters. Priestley uses Sheila to represent something very important: hope. Hope that the younger generation can learn from their mistakes and build a more responsible society. Now let's look at Sheila's key quotes. Quote 1. "But these girls aren't cheap labour. They're people." This line appears early in the play. Mr. Birling describes his workers as cheap labour. To him, they are simply a way to increase profit. But Sheila immediately challenges this idea. She reminds her father that these workers are not just labour. They are people. This moment reveals an important theme in the play: the generational divide. The older generation focus on wealth, status, and profit, but the younger generation show more empathy and greater social awareness. Priestley is suggesting that society can improve when people begin to recognize the humanity of others. Quote 2. "So I'm really responsible." This moment shows Sheila beginning to understand the consequences of her actions. The key word here is really. It shows genuine shock. For the first time, Sheila realizes that her behavior had serious consequences for another person. This moment represents Sheila's moral awakening. She begins to understand how privilege and social power can harm vulnerable people. Quote 3. "I'll never do it again to anybody." Notice the repetition of the word never. I'll never do it again. This repetition shows deep regret. Unlike her parents, Sheila does not deny responsibility. Instead, she accepts her mistake and promises to change. Priestley uses Sheila as an example of how people should respond to the inspector's message: accept responsibility, learn from mistakes, and change. Quote 4. "You mustn't try to build up a kind of wall between us and that girl." The key word here is wall. The wall symbolizes the separation between the rich and the poor. The Birling family attempt to distance themselves from Eva Smith. They want to pretend her life has nothing to do with them. But Sheila understands something important. Society is connected, and the wealthy cannot ignore the suffering of others. This idea links directly to the inspector's message, that we are all responsible for each other. Quote 5. "You're beginning to pretend that nothing much has happened." This line occurs near the end of the play. Mr. and Mrs. Birling begin celebrating when they believe the inspector may not be real. But Sheila refuses to ignore the lesson of the evening. She accuses them of pretending that Eva Smith never existed, pretending that their actions had no consequences. By this point in the play, Sheila has become more morally aware than her own parents. Quote 6. "It frightens me the way you talk." Sheila says this to her father when he continues expressing selfish capitalist views. The word frightens is important. She now understands how dangerous these attitudes are: selfishness, ignoring responsibility, and refusing to care about others. These attitudes are exactly what led to Eva Smith's suffering. Why Sheila matters. Sheila is one of the most important characters in the play, because she changes. At the beginning, she is naive and sheltered, but by the end, she understands responsibility and challenges her parents' beliefs. Priestley uses Sheila to represent the younger generation, a generation that might learn from the mistakes of the past and build a fairer society. In other words, Sheila Birling represents the possibility of change, and that message is the heart of the entire play. Thank you for watching. If you found it useful, please like and subscribe, and be sure to review our other An Inspector Calls revision videos. Happy revising.